Life. This is I think uh, what is it, our fourth episode, or is it our third? I can't even remember. Yeah, this is our third, and our guest today is Robert Castro. And I just want to tell you to like, share, and comment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Help us build the channel, help us get the word out. If you see me fuzzy a little bit, I'm still working with my green screen, so my hands might disappear. But hey, it's all good. All right, here's our guest, Robert DeCastro. Welcome.
Hey guys, how you guys doing out there in YouTube land?
Yes, yes, it's fun. It's fun on YouTube land, isn't it?
Oh yes, and thank you for having me, Terry.
Well, brother, how did you get started in collecting?
Collecting. Well,
Or have you been
uh,
doing it all your life, maybe?
I had them as a kid. In about 1975, I got my first Eagle Eye Land Commander,
Okay.
and back in the Philippines, there's not that many people that had GI Joe. But since my dad worked for KLM, he
Mm-hmm.
traveled a lot, so he got me my first GI Joe. Actually, he brought back a Eagle Eye GI Joe and an Atomic Man.
Wow.
And yeah, and I brought that thing everywhere. And unfortunately, because I did that, I brought it to my grandmother's house, and that weekend, her house burnt down.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was one of the biggest fires in Manila was happening. A big famous shoe store in Manila was on fire at the same time. So all the engine was over there putting the fire out. So we had to watch the house burn down. And it was just only later that I found out that the suitcase that I had my GI Joe in was in my grandmother's house and it never got out. So that's probably why I ended up being a collector, because of that traumatic experience. But yeah. In the 90s, when the Hall of Fame's a GI Joe came out, that's really what spurred the interest in 12-inch GI Joes again.
Yeah, yeah.
And but the thing with that is they're not very posable, because they
Right,
had like that Ken doll style body.
right.
And so with that, I sort of segued into looking for the old vintage stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a convention in Las Vegas, where, ironically, is where I live now. They had it was, I think, a GI Joe show by James DeSimone. That was exactly 1990, October of that year. And I picked up my first six GI Joes that started off my collection. Most of it I still have to this day. And I never looked back. So since 1990 is when I started collecting.
And you also make the robots too, huh?
Yeah, that one came around 2007 when I basically quit Illustrator work,
Mm-hmm.
and I discovered this thing called the designer vinyl toys, which is basically artists basically making uh, toys of their artwork. And that really appealed to me as an artist, because here are two things that I liked, which was collecting toys and art.
Right.
And around that time, I made my first robot toy. It was called Combat R0. You'll find it on my Atomic Mushroom Toys website. Still have some there. And I never looked back since. I started my own company making toys, but this time I make it strictly out of Japan, because in Japan you can have very, very small runs. Basically, you can have as little as 60 to like 10 pieces that they could pull for you, and then it comes back to me as like blanks. So let me reach in here and grab one. Basically, when it comes in from Japan, it's in parts, I've got to trim it and then assemble it, and it'll basically look like that. It's blank, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I take an airbrush and a special paint. Um, let me get that here. And I take a special paint and an airbrush, and we have something like that.
Wow.
It's all hand assembled and hand painted, and you can see there's a little feature there.
Yes,
His
yes.
face, and it's in small runs, and it's very niche, meaning it's very specialized collectors that sought these out, and
Well, me and my grandson, we picked up a robot a few years ago, kind of like a robot, a robo cop kind of guy that GI
uh-huh.
Joe actually sits in. And my grandson painted that entire thing and then entered it at Joe Atlanta and won.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah,
So,
that's my other hobby. It's collecting 1950s and 60s tin robots.
mhm.
You know, you can see it there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Neat.
yeah.
And it,
It's it's very stylized. It's almost like artwork in itself. So that's one of the things that influenced my design when I made my robots.
does he have a name, your robot, or is he just
Well,
called
the line is called Galaxy Titans,
Galaxy?
and this one is a triad because of the fact that he has three faces.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have another one called a Star Eater and a Spectre. Now that one has a kind of a. I might as well take them out here.
And you hand paint them all, right? Or
Yeah,
air.
everything is hand painted.
Uh-huh.
This one is the Star Eater, and this one is the Spectre.
Wow.
Yeah,
Neat.
there's a lot of parts, so each one you never know what parts combination you're gonna get.
Right, right.
So when I make a run of it, it's it's kind of like a grab bag of parts. You never know what you're gonna get, and I think that's what is exciting about the line, and I think our fans also find it exciting.
Yeah. Well, they're telling me I got a message saying the chat is off. I haven't figured out how to turn on the chat while I'm restreaming, so I'm gonna have to figure that out
Oh
because
yeah.
they said it's not on.
Oh
But
yeah.
if you,
I don't know how to do that. Paul's kind of a old
yeah,
hand in that now.
yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to Paul. But
Yeah.
I noticed. I guess what finally connected me to you was the Humvee. So you want to talk about Humvee a little bit?
Okay. Yeah. I've always wanted the armament carrier. You know, the green version that they did release.
Uh-huh.
And when I finally decided to go and get one, I was searching on eBay, and there was this tan Humvee that caught my eye. I thought it was a custom,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess the seller had that common problem because apparently he's had that Humvee for 10 years in his shop, and he was never able to move it from his eBay store because nobody ever, just paid it any attention. But when uh, when I look back at it, because I was just so curious, because whoever did that custom, I thought did such a fabulous job that I really looked at the photograph in detail. And
Right.
the toy designer in me, when I worked in the industry, caught some things in the interior, and I was like, that's not a custom. Only manufacturers would do those kinds of things, like the way the hard top connects to the body. It had those little
Right.
pegs that only like toy designers and manufacturers would do, because you have to screw it from the bottom, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I noticed that the finish, the tan finish, wasn't paint, because any customizer also knows what a surface of something looks like when it's been painted. And this had a kind of like a soapy kind of a bar of soap kind of sheen to it. And
Right. Right.
right. So when I started to put things together, I said, this doesn't look like a custom. There was also a detail on the roof that never appeared on the regular armament carrier. That's a circular detail, and it looked like something went in there. So I
Mm-hmm.
started researching to see if they released some kind of limited run, but there was no sign that they ever released it. Not even in, like, how sometimes they release stuff in other countries. That wasn't
Right.
even the case. So I started to get excited, because I was thinking, this is a salesman sample, a pre-production sample. That's what my gut was telling me. And when I was asking Paul Knapp about, if he had any knowledge about it, he showed me a poster that had a picture of that very same Humvee. And so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
posted it
I
on,
saw you show that.
huh? Oh, there's your chats right there.
Yeah. I saw where you showed that picture.
Yeah.
That must have got your juices going.
Oh, I'm telling you, because I asked Daryl DePriest, and he said there's that was never released, and that's probably a pre-production sample, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all I needed, really. So I started talking to the seller and negotiating a price, and I got it just on pure hunch. And
Right.
when it came back, I was right. I was totally right. Uh, it was not a custom. Nothing about it said custom. Everything had Hasbro markings. There was no paint. Everything was molded in tan color. And there was a mishap, though, because during the shipment, the both rear hubs that held the wheel completely
Mm-hmm.
shattered. And of course, I got the help of Jim Egner, 3D printing master, and he took the pieces that I glued together, and he replicated it perfectly.
He's a master.
Oh, he saved my bacon that day, and God bless him. He dropped other things he was doing, because he knew like, oh, this is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got to get this fixed and out there and everything. And I was so grateful. I felt at that moment, I felt like I'm going to put up a statue of Jim on my backyard. He's my hero, man.
Well, tell everybody your YouTube channel so they can go and watch, because you've got videos that will walk them through and show them
Yeah,
the part that was broken and everything.
yeah. It's Max Sog Adventure International. That's the channel, and you'll see all of the showcase videos I did of the tan Humvee, and the second part where I bought a Hasbro tow missile launcher, and another hunch that paid off, which was that, remember that ring I told you that was on the roof? Well, I
Right.
was
Right.
right. That was for the tow missile launcher that Hasbro
Wow.
made, and it fit. It
Wow.
popped right in. It was so awesome. I was like, oh, yes, yes. I knew somehow they weren't going to make a second tow missile launcher just to fit on that. So yeah,
So do you think the molds are out there somewhere?
I'm sure of it. I'm sure the molds are still in China.
Mhm.
It's staggering the amount of money that it must have cost to tool
Yes.
the additional parts for that. Because
Right.
I don't, I think they got gun shy because the original green one didn't sell very well.
Right.
It was so big and
Hmm.
it was kind of pricey. And I think it was all about bad timing because they let 21st Century Toys and other companies to make their Humvees first. And those Humvees saturated the market so that by the time they got out with their Humvee, people were like, oh gosh, I want to get that, but I've got so many 21st Century Humvees already. You know?
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think that if they were the first one on the market, and I think this is a lesson that they needed to relearn from Don Levine, was that you got to be first in the market. You got to be out,
Yes.
you got to put it out there first before the other guys, or else you're gonna lose momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think if they had done that, everybody would have the tan Humvee today.
Well, Hasbro has failed us all the way around. They
Yeah,
really
it's
have.
unfortunate because it's I think the thing is because of the great American hero G.I. Joe, or the real American hero G.I. Joe, they didn't want to induce like a brand confusion with another line like Adventure Team,
Hmm.
because uh, I know how that is, because that could really zap the gas out of your product if you introduce a second line. So in a way, I kind of understand why, despite everybody screaming, "Hey, make Adventure Team, make 12-inch GI Joe again," they can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much money that they've invested in the classified series right now that I can't imagine. They can't even make
Yeah.
vehicles. The
Right. Right.
vehicles are much bigger, a lot more expensive. They have to go through a what HasLab, I think is what they call it, and they've got to kind of crowd fund that thing first before they could make anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it sure has changed everything. That's for sure. And of course, right now, some on my little Facebook page, I had somebody send me a message, and he said, "Look, I got these 40 figures. Can you tell me whether they're Dragon, whether they're 21st
oh
century,
yeah,
whether they're?" I said, "I ain't got the time to do that.
oh my
You're gonna have to
goodness,
do more
that's,
research."
oh wow. There's so many manufacturers that make that. It's staggering. It's gonna be, that's oh wow, I'd hate to have that job, identifying that many figures. That's why I stick with vintage GI Joe Adventure Team. So
Yeah.
I even
Yeah.
specialized in that, where I don't mess too much. Although I do have the painted hair soldier line from the '60s. I mainly my main spiel is the Adventure Team, Fuzzheads, Kung Fu Grip, Eagle Eye, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Murray says 21st century would have had trouble if Hasbro had beat them.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
they'd have had that Humvee out first.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was strange, because when I did buy a couple of those Humvees, and they were grossly off scale. They sort of look like one of those coin operated rides that kids ride in the mall, and
Yeah.
they were so cartoony. MNC had a more decent version with their a hard top slant back that they still
Right.
offer today, and those are really nice. Strangely enough, the 21st Century Bradley fighting vehicle.
Hmm.
If you put a Hasbro Humvee next to that, then you really notice how out of scale the Bradley is.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you will need an MNC version of the Humvee to put together with that so that it won't look too crazy off scale.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I noticed behind you there. I think that's what is that. Is that the mobile support vehicle that you've?
This one is a remote controlled troubleshooter, but
Wow.
very little of the troubleshooter is actually here. Believe it or not, it's just the top shell is from the
Uh-huh.
troubleshooter, and of course the helicopter seat. But the way I had to fit this body onto this remote control chassis is I had to stretch it about an inch, but you can't tell though that it's been stretched. It's been stretched right here in this area right here, but you can't tell.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right, and it has full working lights, and it it's operated by a 6-channel tank radio. Everything on there is scratch built from styrene plastic, like the armored windshield, the dash, the middle chassis, which had to be scratch built so that it interfaces with the bottom chassis.
Mm-hmm.
This entire structure here with the rifle cradle and that imaging computer is all scratch built from styrene plastic.
Wow.
Yeah, you can see you could change the image just by sliding a piece of paper with printed graphics on it. So you can just imagine how it drove me crazy to cut each individual computer keyboard key in there.
Yes, it really looks good.
Yeah,
It
because
looks good.
I don't know
Even
how to 3D
Murray says it looks great, Robert.
print. Thank you. And of course, this one is the now famous Scarab.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that one's a beast. It's uh, it's 6-wheel drive, 6-wheel steering. The machine gun is can traverse and elevate by remote. All the lights are working. Um, let's see if I can lift this bad boy. Oh,
Nah,
you see how big it is?
yeah.
Yeah, all the lights are independently controlled. So when I turn it on, they don't all turn on because I could just turn on the headlights and the brake lights, the running lights if I wanted, and the roll bar lights. The machine gun has lights and sound. It has a diesel engine sound as well. And this one is operated by a 12-channel helicopter radio that's been converted for land use.
Is that the 3D printed top on it? Or did
This
you
one,
get,
no, this one is a big trapper.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's a big trapper, and what I did is I scratch built the middle section. That's where all the electronics are. That box back there is filled with servos and electronic speed controls and all the management system for this thing here.
I mean, do you have a video of it going on your YouTube channel?
Not yet because it's
Because it's a beast, huh?
it is a beast, but that thing is very powerful. Now, if you hooked up a good strong rope on the chassis and you went on a skateboard, it could pull a kid on a skateboard.
Man.
Yeah, hills, tall grass. This thing doesn't get bothered by that because each axle has a separate motor. But
How long did it take you to make it?
well, it took a while because it went through so many changes. The first time I built it, it didn't have a box. It had one of those kind of like those corrugated drain pipes. The thing that looks like an accordion. And
Right.
so it was also OD green, and it took like 6 different rebuilds to where it looks like that. That's why I call it the Mark 6 Scarab.
Because it took you 6 tries. Eh?
Six rebuilds to get it to this final version.
Man, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, what's your favorite adventure team?
My favorite adventure team, like the figure.
Yeah, or adventure.
Oh, golly, I don't know. It's kind of hard to pinpoint things out because because I customize everything. Everything on the video that you see is all custom made. Like this guy here, that's all my custom work right there. So I sew all the uniforms and the shoulder holsters and everything he's wearing, except for the boots, the hat, and all the like the knives. The guns on some of my figures I actually cast in resin, but all the holsters and everything are done by me. This one is Eagle Eye
Amazing.
that I also customized. So everything you've probably seen a lot of these guys on my videos.
Yes, and you did the pockets and everything.
Oh yeah, everything. Because that's what I used to. That's what I did back in the '90s. I was a toy designer. I got first hired by Kirk Bazigian and Don Levine to do a special project with them called Real Heroes. It was a fireman and cop figure, and then from there I sort of leapfrogged with the help of Kirk Bazigian to start working for other companies to design stuff for them.
I have both of those figures, and they are top notch. You did a great job.
Thank you. That was a dream job for me because I never in a million years would I thought that I would ever work with my heroes.
Yeah,
both legends in the G.I. Joe world, right?
Well, my son wanted to get me a Bullet Man, and of course, when Buddy made Bullet Man become famous, he became hard to find.
Oh,
and
that was so crazy because I'm like, you couldn't give away Bullet Man back in the day. You couldn't give them away.
Right.
Now they're like, oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. But when my son bought one, he bought one from Buddy for me, from Buddy Finley. And or Finley. And they sent me a picture. And in the picture was the guy that created the Bullet Man. So I kind of thought that maybe this they got it from him or something like that, but it turned out that he was just happened to be there that day, and they took a picture of him and they just sent it to me. Didn't have nothing to do with my Bullet Man though. So I do have the picture with him, and it's with my Bullet Man. But I don't know where my Bullet Man came from, but it's an awesome figure. And Buddy said when they went to that one show, they just bought them all for like 50 cents a piece.
Oh,
and they said, we're going to make these famous.
Oh, goodness. I remember getting a carded Bullet Man. He was still on the card back in the 90s for $35.
Mm-hmm.
I was, and then I ended up selling him because it was like, oh, no, this thing would never be valuable. That's my next project. That's actually my next project, is to build a custom Bullet Man, because I don't know about the costume right now that he currently has a lot to be desired. I mean, it's nice, but it doesn't quite fit with the way I do things.
No. Well, I can't remember the guy that came from South America, the one that used to customize the eagle eyes. Well,
yeah.
He
could
came.
Be that Locos por Bonecos.
Yeah, that's him. He came to Toylanta one year, and I bought some clothes from him. So my Bullet Man is dressed in his clothes.
Yeah, those are great. Jeff Shear has quite a bit of his work, and those look really nice.
Yeah, I've got a leather jacket on him with kind of like a sheepskin collar, and then he's got the
Oh
Bullet
yeah.
Man logo right on the leather jacket.
Oh, okay.
And he looks completely different, of course. I need to do a
Yeah.
video of him.
Yeah, there was this one that kind of inspired me. So my plan is to do a Bullet Man like the Rocketeer style.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, with the joppers and the the double-breasted kind of like jacket, with the buttons like.
Yeah.
And I want to resculpt the helmet so it has like that thing that has an opening here instead of like, and like the fin, like how the
Yes.
Rocketeer is, where it kind of goes straight back like that.
Yes.
The only thing I really want to get is the Bullet Man head. That's the only thing I need, and after that, I'll be okay.
Well, I think the European Bullet Man, the boots on that have rockets on the feet.
Yeah. That was nice. I mean, it's amazing how like the foreign versions are actually better designed than the original American one.
Yes. Like the Atomic Man, he has the nuclear thing right in his chest.
Yeah, the little clicking atomic heart.
Yeah, ours don't have that.
I know. I was like,
we got gypped. We got cheated.
I can't get over how he's just wearing shorts and bare feet.
Yeah.
That was the thing that drove me crazy.
Murray said and he's right, grab the Defender's figure and you got the head of Bullet Man. But you probably already knew that.
Yeah.
And I bought a Defender one year and I didn't really know who the Defender was. I just picked it up for like $5 and then sold it for 10. And somebody said, "You shouldn't have done that, Terry." They're kind of hard to find.
I heard that they did that just to sell off all the surplus uniforms and accessories they had at the factory.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, it's been
Thank you, Murray, for that comment, by the way.
Yes. Thank you, Murray, for joining us. And Phil Knapp was on here. I don't know who else was here, but hey, thanks everybody for coming. And Robert, thank you for sharing. You have anything else you want to say before we go?
Just if you want to see all the stuff I do on YouTube, just go on Maxog Adventure International. I also have a separate YouTube channel for my Atomic Mushroom stuff. So just look up Atomic Mushroom and you'll see that channel.
After we get off here, I'll make sure I go in there and put the links to both those channels for you. Oh,
that'd be awesome.
Yes. Listen, thanks, guys. Keep collecting, and remember, toys are fun. Yeah. Somebody asked me the other day, said, "How old are you?" And I said, "I'm 70." And they said, "You still play with toys?" I said, "Of course I do."
Darn right.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Robert.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye. Listen, again, join us next week at 6 p.m. It may be taped next week. We may not be live because I've got so many things on my plate coming up with the holidays, but we will have a show, even if it is not live. But please join us at 6 p.m. next Thursday, and we'll have another toy blast. Thank you for coming. Make sure you tell your friends. Help us grow the channel, get the word out, and have fun. Remember, toys